All right, good afternoon. Welcome. It's going to be a great afternoon because we've got our community update to give you some important updates today. And then what I'm looking forward to is the associate recognition portion flowing right after the community update. If I haven't met you, my name is Aaron Barth. Thanks for joining in person to the many of you here. And then for those on the television or on the live stream, really glad you're joining us today. It's our last update for 2023 for RiverWoods. It's been a great year. So Todd and I will share some of the details that close out this year's planning we're doing for 2024 and how things have gone. I never want to not thank Todd for his incredible engagement with us. He lives in Richmond. He works at a corporate office. He's in charge of 9 communities, and yet he knows just as much about our campus as anyone. So, Todd, without further ado, come on up, and thanks so much for being here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It still looked like that. I'm always amazed when I look at that picture. My youngest daughter has to always comment on my gray hair. She went with me to my I go get my haircut every month at the same time, like the same day, because it's the only day I can fit in the schedule. So she went with me this time. She says, "Dad, all your hair is gray." I'm like, "Thank you, honey. I appreciate that. It's good to." She has all the people laughing in there except for me. So, anyways, and Aaron, thank you. That's very nice, but I really don't know half the things that go on around here. I fake it pretty good, so I appreciate the nice words. For today's agenda, we have a whole bunch of things to talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit about resident rates and the economic factors that kind of drove the resident rate change this year, and bring some more clarity to that. Talk a little bit about something I've been thinking about and working with various resident groups across the system for a while on how we make decisions and how we get more resident involvement in the decisions that we need to make. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And this is something that's been developed over time based on the interactions that I have just listening to people and the questions that they ask and why they ask them. I want to talk a little bit about that today. I'll talk a little bit about online reviews and make an ask of all of you. Progress on our strategic blueprint goals, and then Aaron will do all the important stuff and give you some updates of the things that are going on around here. So economic impacts driving the determination of the rates. Obviously we start from a perspective of what's our occupancy and our revenue going to be versus what's the expenses that are going to be to support the occupancy that you have. And many of you have heard me talk about this in the past. Last year, the state of Pennsylvania helped us out in theory by significantly raising the Medicaid rate of reimbursement for people in a SNF, 17%. You know what we really get? About 8%. There's all kinds of rules and regs that go along with those things. And the challenge is 8% of $200 is what? You math wizards. How much is that? Let's just say not a lot. How about that? We'll start with that so we don't have to get specific. 10% being $20, right? So 8%, it's not a lot of money, right? So that it's put together as like this great thing, but at the end of the day, inflation has far exceeded that amount of money at the end of the day. So I bring that up because it's a challenge for us to how do we balance the revenue challenges with the expenses. And this campus was founded on having a very large nursing home that we don't have anymore. We've downsized the nursing home. As many of you know, there's 3 wings in this building that are empty. Now, I understand the rumor mill is running hot and heavy already. Sean Smith was walking around with some people and blah, 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 blah. We are exploring every available option right now of what makes sense for these 3 wings that are sitting there with nothing in them, because that's the key for the future success of this campus. So before anybody starts making up the rest of the story, just know Aaron and I went to Geisinger. We had a conversation about, we had a great idea. Let's have a wing develop for, older adults with mental health needs, which is a very high reimbursed service. Well, that only works if you can get a psychiatrist. Guess what Geisinger can't even find? What's the chances we're going to find, right? It's that kind of thing. So we're exploring all sorts of different opportunities. So I want to be, transparent in saying that. Having these wings sitting empty is not the solution. Definitely isn't the solution. So associate salary increases, so they will average right around 3%. Not everybody's getting 3. Some will get more, some will get less, depending on your performance, but that feeds into the numbers. One of the big impacts for us this year was the associate benefit cost rate. You may not be aware of this, and associates probably aren't aware of this either. We are self-insured for medical and dental insurance. That means we actually work with an insurance broker to set the rates that employees pay as well as we pay through the broker for insurance. Well, the challenge for that is you always will have people within your insurance collaborative. So think of Asbury like one big bucket for insurance. You will have people that cost you way up here and other people who cost you way down here. The problem with the way up here stuff is if your number of those people goes through the roof, like it has the last couple of years. It was interesting. Nobody went to the doctor over COVID. We had a great year when it come to medical insurance because nobody went to the doctor, right? And as soon as COVID kind of slowed down, everybody ran to the doctor, and it just went the exact opposite way. And those ebbs and flows are part of it. But the increase for next year for the employer portion of what we provide for insurance, so we kept our insurance for people at the same level. So we didn't reduce insurance, raise co-pays, do things that you could do to offset that. But it's up about 8.5%. So that's a significant amount of money. You all go to the grocery store or gas station, whatnot. What do you notice? The costs are higher. Funny thing is the supply chain, you hear all this supply chain mumbo jumbo about why costs were so high during the pandemic. It's funny how nothing's come back down, right? And it probably won't. And they'll still use the supply chain as the reason for the next 57 years of why the costs are high. You're not going to see the price at the grocery store come down anytime soon. That's for sure. And so the overall supply chain has created additional costs for us. Recruitment and retention costs for associates continues to be a tough challenge, and it's a tough challenge for us across the system. We did some things this current fiscal year that will help with that. For those of you who work with smart recruiters, you know that went live, and that will help us in many ways going forward. But there is obviously a cost to employee retention that we have to be very cognizant of. And then finally, utility contracts. Utility costs, especially natural gas. Natural gas is up 40% year over year, if you didn't know that. Now, I don't think natural gas is a big deal for most people who live on this campus, but if you live where I live, natural gas is a big thing. So we've seen about a 47% increase in our rate as an organization. Where we were getting really fortunate is we locked in our energy costs in 2021 for some locations, and as far back as 2019 on a 3 or 4 year contract. So we got to the end of those. So what happened? Well, there's a war in Ukraine. There's conflict in the Middle East. All these things are like the bean counters, if you will, immediately go to the rates and start going like this. It doesn't matter if it really impacts them or not, but it drives up the costs. So utility costs have gone up. Electric has started to come back down. But gas is probably going to stay there for a while because most of the gas that's refined comes through the Middle East or for the middle of Europe. But I wanted to share this diagram. This is a snip that I took from a company called Ziegler. And Ziegler is responsible for about 80% of the market in senior living of essentially the borrowing market. So they have their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry across CCRC, standalone assisted livings, nursing homes, and the like. In 2024, you can see if you look down the column, the left side is this statistic. I can never say that word. The minimum, like some people that I always laugh at things like this. This is basically saying there's actually operators out there that reduce their rates by 1%. I actually sent a message to the guy that runs Ziegler. I said, give me the names of the people that did that. I really like to understand that. But anyways, and then 0, like people kept their rates. The first quartile is rate increases of about 4% is about the standard in 2024. The median is about 5, and the third quartile is about 6. So across the Asbury system, we were anywhere from about 3.9 to about 5.9, depending on the location and the needs. So I wanted to share that, the average being about 5.03, and that is pretty consistent of where we landed in our budget process this year. What was the RiverWoods rate again? 5 and 3. So somewhere in the mix. And I wanted to share some of the drivers to that because sometimes it's not always that clear. Okay, let's talk about resident involvement and change. And I want to preface this by saying the first bullet that's here below the change management process steps is the area where we need to do the most work and be better at than we are today. And this is universal, whether it's a change for associates or a change for residents. What is the problem and why do we need to do something about it? And what do I mean by that? So when you talk about having to make any sort of change, we all have changes in our personal lives, things that come up. We do stuff different, whatever. I need a new car. Well, why do you need a new car? Well, because the one I'm driving is costing me more than a new car would. It's breaking down all the time, whatever, right? What we're really not good at is talking to, whether it's associates or residents, about the why. Why do we need to do something different? We kind of jump down to number 4 and then go back to number 2 and then sometimes ask for input and then sometimes not. We need to have a more succinct way of doing things. So I've challenged Aaron and his peers to follow this process, sharing what the problem is and why do we need to address it. And I'm not talking about like how wide we paint the lines in the parking lot. That wouldn't be something I'm talking about big things that are going to impact people's lives. So maybe lines in a parking lot would. That's not what I mean. It would be like if we're going to reduce staffing and we would talk to associates, you don't start the meeting with, well, I have something to announce. We're going to reduce staffing. And then we work our way back to the why. Let's start with what's the problem and then talk through some solutions. Because when you follow this, you share with the larger resident population or associate population to solicit input, we might get some answers that we didn't consider. There might be some input that says, hey, have you ever thought about X, whatever X is? Sharing our proposed solution. This is one thing the government actually does a pretty good job with. They put out, this is what we're going to do, and then they allow, what's it called? Public comment, right? So why couldn't we have a meeting and say, this is our proposed solution based on this problem and the inputs, and then get some more conversation? This is all designed to get communication to a better level and make people understand, yes, there's going to be change, and change is universal. There's always going to be change. But what's the process we follow for change? That people feel like they're part of the process, not that we just do stuff. And I don't say this to be negative, but sometimes we try to, in my opinion, sell the change after it's already decided. Now, look in the mirror, and I did the same. I looked in the mirror and said, how do I normally react to that kind of thing? Not so well, right? I get a letter in the mail about 3 months ago from the county commissioner's office of Richmond that said, your real estate taxes have been reassessed at 29.2% higher. So there was no opportunity for input there. It was basically, here's the new cost, right? But at the bottom, it says, if you don't like, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, if you don't like this rate, please provide comments and backup feedback to the county commissioner's office. And most people would be like, yeah, what's that going to do? I actually did it. I actually went and printed out, I went on Zillow and printed out all the comps. And then I looked at all the real estate prices in my neighborhood. And I sent all this big packet. It was like this thick. Yes, I'm one of those type of people. The guy called me. He goes, I'd like to come look at your house. So he comes and he looks and he says, well, we have your house as, I don't know what they called it, excellent condition. Well, yeah, because the renovation was done in 2010. That's 13 years ago. Should it still be in excellent condition? He goes, well, if we move you to average, your rate will only go up 3%. Sold. Let's move on. So they sent me another letter that said my rate only went up 3%. Now, it took me 2 hours worth of time, and I didn't figure anything would come from it. My point is when you do things like that, most people just get mad, talk to each other, and accept it when something else worse comes along and move on. What I'd like us to move to is have more collaborative dialogue. And yes, it'll take longer to make decisions and move things, but it's also got to be pointed that people understand why we're doing what we're doing, if that makes sense. All right. Online reviews. Why are these important? 81% of people choose Google as their primary source of information over what senior care sites they might want to visit. So if you're looking for a place to live, most people, if they're going to live in a different place from where they grew up and they knew all the places, they're going to do what? They're going to go on Google. And what are they going to see? If a place has crappy reviews, they're not going to go visit there, right? They're going to go to places just like we all do. Does anybody use like Open Table or, to get a restaurant and you look at the reviews and you see if it's any good? How many of you go to reviews that are crappy? Right? Now, you try not to, especially if you're out of town. You're trying to help yourself. Same thing for senior care. So my ask of all of you is do a Google review. If you're happy, you feel like you've gotten what you've expected to get. I know it's a pain, but the more good Google reviews that we get, the higher we move up in star rating or whatever they're listing us as. This helps occupancy, which helps revenue, which makes everybody's rate stay lower. It helps employees want to come work here. If employees' reviews on a website are crappy, nobody's going to want to come work there. I get asked all the time, just hire more people. And I respond with my famous, show me the field that we grow them and I will go buy some. The point is even if you're looking for a job, you're probably going to Google places you might be thinking of applying to and see what people say about it. And I realize that I'm opening us up to scrutiny here, but we should be open up to scrutiny. We should be willing to accept. Now, I would tell you, if you want to leave a terrible review, it'd be nice if you talk to Aaron first and give him a chance to fix it before you do that. But I also understand that I can't ask you to do something if we're not going to be willing to engage in those conversations. So if you're willing, we would love you to do a good Google review to help us out. All right. Progress on strategic goals. I haven't talked about the strategic focus areas in a while, so I wanted to do that a little bit today. I'm really excited about this first one. So if you remember, I had talked, it's probably been 2 years now, about Asbury communities being what we consider well-being destination communities. People are coming to live in our communities because they feel it will support their well-being in a variety of ways. So about 2 weeks ago, I got an email from the ICAA, the International Council on Active Aging, for their 2023 awards. And the top 5 senior living communities in the country, number 1, Asbury Solomons. So as you think about Google reviews, right? What can I put on the website? If you want well-being, move to Asbury Solomons because we're the number 1 rated in the country for ICAA. Pretty cool. Well, Doug Lighting made the list as the CEO who supports wellness. Interesting conversation I had with him. He asked me, what's this all about? I said, don't worry about it. Just show up. And then finally, Asbury Methodist Village, number 8. Asbury Spring Hill, number 17. I just told David how we're going to get RiverWoods on the list in 2024. We've done a ton of work, and David and the team here have done a ton of work, and I do think we'll be on the list next year. Why? Because we are trying to change the culture of what's driving people to live at RiverWoods, at Solomons, at A&B. And it's really focused on what active lifestyle and what's important to people. We're getting rid of the stuff that people don't care about and putting more money into the things that they do. And we will continue to evolve those things. But this is a pretty cool recognition that this group sees that we're trying to evolve our programs. And what's really interesting, if you see here, if you look down the list, what do you notice? There's only one Pennsylvania and there's only two Maryland. So I feel pretty good about that because that's definitely a distinct competitive advantage for us as we look at bringing new residents to our campus, especially residents that are interested in that. Because in a comparison, well, other places aren't on the list. So it's a kind of a cool thing. So I wanted to share that today. Asbury will become Diversified Aging Service Organization. You may not know this, but we've added a couple more life centers here in Pennsylvania, one in Cumberland and one in Franklin that were formerly operated by Spirit Trust Lutheran. We opened those in August of this year, so I think it's added about 60 more members to our life programs. And Sean Smith's been driving this mainly. Asbury is a high-performing organization. We experience financial benefits and lower job posting through turnover reduction. We've been very focused on retaining people. If you recall, about a year ago, I said how important it is for us to reduce our turnover rate because the cost of turning over, anybody want to take a guess how much it costs us on average for every employee who leaves and when we hire a new one?
$349.
Wow, $349. Any other guesses? $1,000? $2,000? Getting warmer. It's about $2,800 for us. When you factor in all the costs, the onboarding, the training, all the pieces and parts, it's about $2,800. So reducing your turnover rate is a very important thing. Every organization struggles with that. You don't realize how much it really costs. $349? Good try. But no, I wish. I thought so. I thought you misspoke. That's okay. We've applied greater rigor to action planning through our Great Place to Work survey. The EDs get tired of me asking, like, where are we at? What's the challenges? What do we need to do differently? Is the plan working? Like, it's one thing to have a plan, but if the plan's not changing anything, you got to come up with a new plan. The one greatest thing about COVID that we learned, all organizations learned, is you had to change regularly. I mean, if you remember back, we were changing the state would change the rules like every hour, let alone every day, right? And we had to come to a new understanding and do things differently. We have to do the same thing in our business. If Aaron and his team comes up with a plan and the residents say, well, that's a great plan, but it ain't made a darn bit of difference, we have to come up with a new plan. And we should be asking those questions on a regular basis. Attaining associate feedback through exit surveys and the associate experience process. Recently, we've kind of launched this new exit survey. Now, the downside of that is the person's already gone. They've already quit, right? But now they get an online survey and they can put things in an online survey. Now, it's a little dangerous because there's no filter, right, Faye? There's no filter. And I say that because Faye gets them all too, like I do. There's no filter in what people say. But here's what I've learned very quickly in reading these exit surveys. If you start reading them for content, like as one-offs, they don't bring a lot of value. But if you start putting it together and saying, 5 people have left that department, all 5 have mentioned supervisor. Maybe we got a supervisor problem, right? Or maybe we got a bully in that department or whatever. You'll start noticing trends very quickly. And that's what's important about it, because again, that will help us evolve and change. And I will tell you, and this is not RiverWoods, this is an Asbury Solomons thing. We had a supervisor who showed up as the lowest rated supervisor in a department at Solomons 2 years in a row. And I said to the ED, what's the deal with this person? Well, and she told me all about it. And I said, okay, what if they weren't there anymore? The employee satisfaction rate in that department went up 87% when that supervisor was no longer there. What is the number one reason people quit jobs? Now, all of you as supervisors are cringing as I'm talking because you don't know how far I'm going to go with this. But the point is, people leave their supervisor, usually sooner than the job. So it's important that we pay attention to these things. And that doesn't mean somebody's going to be fired. Maybe we need to sit down with somebody and say, you know what? The 1976, as I called it, I went to Catholic school when I was a little one. The Catholic ruler treatment works for some, but not for all. And it certainly doesn't work in the year 2023. So if we're going to be that everything's this way or this way leader, we're not going to be successful. And believe it or not, you all know this, there's people who still do things like that. We have to evolve our leadership style. We have to figure out a way to get to yes versus everything's a no, right? It's that kind of thing. So we can help people learn. We don't share in case you ever want to fill one out, we don't share the names and all that stuff with people so they know who actually said it. But we do want to take exit surveys very seriously, and it's another tool that we have at our disposal. In September, we launched Smart Recruiters, which is a new career landing page and part of our belonging campaign that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And why that's important is because it allowed the hiring managers a lot more visibility into who's applying, what's their backgrounds, and move the process faster. Because if you're looking for a job in this world, you're probably looking at 4 or 5 different jobs, not just one. And a lot of times the first person that calls is the most likely you're going to go to work for, right? Because we all need, if we're looking for a job, we're not going to wait 6 months to get one. So the first person in is important. So it's important that that tool is at the disposal of the people doing the hiring so they can see much faster the candidates that are calling. Because I know like dining is a great example. If you're applying to RiverWoods, you're applying to the restaurant across the street and 3 other places right here on this area. First person that calls you is likely where you're going to end up. So it's important that we find tools that help us be better with that. All right, Asbury's Belonging Council. For those of you who aren't aware, in 2023, we made a kind of a pivot in our organization to be very focused on associates and how they belong within the organization. Not belong to, belong within the organization. In our campaign, if you will, or our practice is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Because I think the word belonging is the most powerful of the 4. Because if you feel like you belong where you live, where you work, where you go to school, whatever, chances are you're going to be a better whatever, whether it's a better friend, a better neighbor, a better employee, so on and so forth. So belonging is very important. And I think that's where we've put a lot of emphasis. So we have about 15 associates across the Asbury system that are part of the Corporate Belonging Council. In 2024, each community will have a local belonging committee that will be supported by newly established regional councils. And I think the way it'll work is there'll be one in Pennsylvania, one in Maryland, and one in Tennessee to bring it more to a local grassroots level. And then that would include what kind of training are we doing? What kind of things are we focused on? What kind of education are we providing for people? One of the things that we change very quickly in this process is talking about culture in a much different way. Understanding different cultures is very important. And most people don't have a good understanding of various different cultures. Like at A&V particularly, we have like 70 different nationalities that work there. If we don't pay attention to culture, we're not going to be successful in retaining some employees because they're going to go to another place that really honors their culture and their background. And this is an evolving process. I'm going to play a video in a minute, which I hope you find as powerful as I think it is. But these are the 3 goals for this Belonging Council: to increase diversity representation at all leadership levels, increase our organizational cultural competencies, i.e., how we understand one another. And if you think about that for a second, the world is very different than it used to be. Understanding culture and the differences within culture is one of the major issues that causes conflict throughout the world, right? It's no different than where we live. Conflict is among us all the time. Create a shared identity for Asbury as a place that people want to work at, because we do have interest and do have supporting mechanisms for cultures and learning and developing and thinking about things differently. So these are some pretty important distinctions, and I'll update you as we continue to roll this out. But I think it was a big enhancement for our culture in 2023, and it will only get better going forward. Now, here's the big test. Will the black screen actually turn into the video with sound? And I'm looking at my three friends in the front because they're hoping the same thing that I am right now, because this is where we always have trouble across the system. Okay, we got no sound. Want to try again? Is the mic off or something? We have to turn on some sound. Oop. Why is it jumping? Go ahead, you hit play. See if you can get the sound to work.
At Asbury, we would invite you to take a journey to anyone, where every day is an opportunity to belong to a mission greater than yourself, where your work has a profound impact on someone else's life.
Experience a world that is redefining the expectations of aging as seniors climb rock walls, go snowtubing, and take their first virtual reality trips. Be surrounded by the inspiring beauty of our communities. Prepare a world-class meal in our dining rooms, where culinary artistry meets heartwarming connection. Come to a workplace where 200 grandparents can't wait to see you every day. Flourish in your career and unleash your full potential with Asbury's generous scholarships and unlimited opportunities for career advancement. At Asbury, you belong to something bigger than yourself. A place where, year after year, employees call it more than just a job. We're building a culture centered around belonging and inclusivity, a culture where everyone's unique talents, ideas, and perspectives are appreciated and celebrated. Explore your possibilities and discover your sense of purpose in a place where your talents make you part of an inspirational community. No matter where you come from, no matter what your story, there's a place for you here. You belong at Asbury.
And this is a series of videos that we've released on social media and some other platforms designed to entice people to want to work in this organization, because the most important resource that we have is the residents and the staff who work here. No other resource is more important, in my opinion. And having talent want to come work at Asbury across our system is very, very important to us. So we've put a lot of energy on driving different mechanisms to engage people to want to come work at Asbury. And this is one of several videos that have been developed. And I thought, our marketing department did a fantastic job putting that together. And by the way, there was no actors. Those are all staff across the system. Those are no actors, which is another thing that I thought was fantastic. So with that said, since I've showed this slide 17 times, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron to give some updates of more specific here at RiverWoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. And I saw Paul Mauger in there, so there are some bad actors in there. Let's launch into some updates about what we're up to here at RiverWoods. The brain health program is something you've heard about a lot, and it launched officially this summer when we hired Adam Turner. David Schaffler, our well-being director, and Kim Chandler have already been doing brain health as a part of the wellness program, but it wasn't formalized in the way that it is now. So it's been rolling out to the independent living community. In January 2024, we're going to launch campus-wide. And so it's going to be exciting to incorporate it into the activities that Bethany Thone and her team do, to integrate with Andrea Mertz and the therapy team, to be really pushing brain health across the whole campus. And if you don't know what brain health means, in the same way that exercise helps slow down a person's physical decline and is such a good thing for us. The brain health program is helping people slow their cognitive decline down, so that hopefully memory problems are less and less. And if we can get ahead of it earlier in people's lives, we can make a big difference. So look for that in the coming year. Some components will be integrated, some components will be for a fee. And so David Schaffler and the team will probably present a lot more details in January when we launch the program officially. We've got some new folks coming. Beth is our LPN supervisor in the Riverview Manor personal care team. So if you're down there, please welcome her. She started in September and works alongside Rob Trell and our aides in the personal care area. And she comes. She's from long-term care for the longest time. Was working for Bloomsburg Urgent Care the last year or so, and now joins us here at RiverWoods for the first time. The sad news that many of you may know is that Mark Lyons, our facility director, is heading to North Carolina on Saturday, I believe. So tomorrow from 1 to 2:30, we've got a celebratory farewell thing where any of you, residents and associates, are welcome to join the Ridgecrest Cafe just to give Mark a handshake or a hug and thank him. It's very rare to have a leader who's both beloved by the residents, associates, and gets his work done really well. So we want to credit Mark for leading the team really well the last 2+ years. Some of the data we showed in previous town halls was how when Mark started, it took around 12 days for a work order to be completed, and now we're down below 5 days. So that's a real testament to his commitment to doing the right thing for the residents. We've improved communications about how work orders are going, the renovations that get done in a much more effective manner, and it's been great to see a lot of the changes that Mark and the team have brought. So please join us tomorrow if you're available to say goodbye. The last photo there is last week we had a career fair, and I was really pleasantly surprised by the turnout. Amber Bartlett, Beth Gamble, Andrea Mertz, Rob Trell, and others, and our recruiter Lana Saeed were here all day welcoming people that came in, and we made 4 offers to people, which is pretty high from compared to my expectations. Obviously, we have more positions that are still open, but I really thank that team for making that a priority so we can be trying to tackle that part of retention and recruitment. As we finish the year out and we start the new year, I just want to let you know the things that cross my mind as the top priorities for us to keep succeeding as a campus. The first one is our quality and safety and star ratings. In the nursing care center, that's really important for how the world sees us. We just had our Department of Health survey, and we did a lot better this year than last year. Only 9 items were cited as deficiencies, and we contend with some of them for sure. And so we're pushing back on some of it. And it's discouraging for me when we get these citations because I see how hard everyone works, and I see how much our leaders and our staff have improved documentation, improved care. But that's part of the survey's job to find any little thing that we could improve on. So we're continuing to improve. And our quality ratings at 3 stars, we want to get that to 5 by the end of the year of 2024. And our overall ratings 2 stars, and we want to try and get that to 3 stars by the end of 2024. So that's Amber is our leader in the nursing care center, Amber Bartlett, to help us try and get that goal. In the Riverview Manor personal care area, Rob Trell is our leader there, and our goal will be to have less than 10, really less than 5, but we were at 12 or 13 this year, so we need to get that below the double digits in terms of what the Department of Human Services might see as areas for improvement. So those are huge priorities for us because those surveys are just accountability points to make sure we're doing well every day, which is our aspiration. The associate retention, Todd's talked about it a little bit, and I've brought at our last department head meeting, I brought the statistics to us. We did really well for about 6 months of the year. We had less than the industry average for turnover. We're about 32% for the first half of the year. The best places only have about 25% turnover, meaning 1 out of 4 positions will change in the year. But now we've slipped up to 40%. We had a lot of turnover in the months of the summer in both the nursing care center and the personal care areas. So that's been tough on our teams, and I thank the staff for working through that. It's not been easy. So our department heads have homework for our next department head meeting to bring back their orientation plans, their checklists, what we're doing, because if we're not taking care of people up front when they first start, that's not a great first impression. And first impressions are really important to be made to feel welcome, to feel like you're part of the team off the bat, to feel like you got trained at least adequately, even if it's not as comprehensive as you might have expected. We want to do a really good job of welcoming people. And then along the way, like the annual evals that we just did, I've tried to set a pretty high bar for how those should go for our associates, because as you hear both the good and the things that you can improve on, it's showing. I want our supervisors to show that they know and understand what everyone's doing every day, because that means a lot to people to be understood that their job makes a difference, and it does. So we're going to work a lot on that in 2024. And the customer service training was part of that. That's not just for the residents' benefit. Residents will certainly benefit from the customer service training that we did, but it also benefits each other. As we're treating each other better and treating our guests well, it'll create an environment that we all want to work in. So that's part of why that training was so important for us in September. And then the last thing is financial performance. As Todd mentioned, there's actually 5 pretty unused areas on campus: the 3 wings of the nursing care center, Slifer House, and Gamber House. 3 areas that aren't making any revenue, which we need to do well financially, and also are sucking expenses as we do HVAC and we have electricity running in those places. So we are trying our best to come up with ideas. As Todd said, we went to area hospitals. We were talking about hospice with some people. People have ideas for Slifer House all the time. And, I've been wanting to try and get childcare here. We are on pause with that because the cost of renovating the family health center was so much higher than I expected, that we are just trying to see if there's some other way to still get childcare here. I had budgeted like $165,000 this year to do that project, and ended up being more than twice that amount. So just the costs of construction and renovation and stuff are so crazy these days. So I don't want to give up on things like that, because those are such valuable things, but that's on pause as an update for those of you who might not know that. So financial performance this year, we're going to do better than our budget. A lot of it is because some of the areas of campus have done better than expected. The nursing care center and independent living both had higher amount of occupancy than we expected. We did better on managing some of our expenses, like the maintenance team especially was able to do a lot more with less this year, and that comes from the efficiency of the team working better and better. But we overspent a lot on agency again, which was really disappointing. And we got some significant government reimbursement from 2022 pandemic things. So we're going to beat our budget, but that's not a guarantee that those kind of things will happen. So we'll keep a hard press again for next year to do well. Broader community engagement. Very important to me that RiverWoods is giving back to the community. We give a lot by serving our seniors, but I want us to even go beyond that and be really seen as a community that's really engaged in Union County and beyond. So we've got a couple of examples here just from the last quarter that are really worth noting about how we really want to give back. So our clinical team has hosted LPN students, CNA students, and then we even have some Bloomsburg RN students shadowing with us. There's our director of nursing, Beth, at the graduation ceremony in here a couple months ago for the CNA students who completed their rotation. The Veterans Day event was huge last week. I really enjoy that every year. Thank you so much for those of you who came out and waved flags into our veterans. That's something where we have Lewisburg High School Band involved. We've got the community theater helping with sound. The Daily Item covered us last year. Those are things that show that RiverWoods is really a special place. Not a lot of places have this many veterans. We had a list of over 50 veterans that we acknowledged, and that's a big deal. And we want to care for those veterans and thank them for their service. And then on Trick or Treat on Halloween, we had a lot of fun Halloween events. If you saw my newsletter last week, one of them was that we hosted the AYSO youth soccer kids to come through, and then the kids or relatives of our associates to come through all areas of campus. So, Bethany and her team hosted in the nursing home. We've got the personal care residents here on the screen, and then the independent living residents in the Ridgecrest Cafe all had a little bit of fun. It's so great to see kids in costumes, and it's just fun to interact, and who doesn't want some more candy? A lot of you will have seen the big screens around all areas of campus for the Icon Resident Engage platform. It's not just the screens though. What this is it's a web-based program that gets communication out. And so the big screens are really helpful because as you're going down the hall, you can see the announcements. But if you weren't aware, you can also get it on your laptop. You can get it on your phone. And it's just another tool that we think is a really important one to get residents and occasionally associates information. So if you don't know much about it, we're glad to train you. And what it is you can see our Independent Living Council President, Diane, with Liz, Persley, and Bernice, checking out the calendar for the next month, over an IL. You can touch screen most of them. There's a couple of the smaller ones that are just TVs, but most of the big ones, you can actually walk right up to it. You could find the resident handbook. You could find a map of campus. You can scroll through and sign up for an event. You can do that on your phone too if you have the app installed. We want to really make this our own. It's a product that all the Asbury communities are starting to integrate. We're about halfway. Not all the communities have it yet, but we wanted to get early on the list, so we were the third ones. And so we're going to make it our own. I'll tell you a fun way we're going to do that in January in a second. But if you have feedback, tell us, because we want to, our team, a lot of the ladies at the desk running the IT today are the same ones who are running the icons. So we can't necessarily change all the software, but we can change how the fonts look. We can change how we display the events. As you as a resident, if you're watching in personal care, you can talk to some of the aides or Rob and update. Say, hey, I noticed we don't have our visitor who reads to us every week, or the piano player who comes. We should add that to our list of events. Whatever it is, let's make it our own for our community. We're still learning how to use it and how to make it effective. And I want you to just be free to share that feedback. From an independent living standpoint, we're trying to reduce paper in all areas of campus, I should say, but especially there, we have plans that the resident council will start putting their minutes on Icon instead of printing them into all mailboxes. We're going to try and figure out by the year's end who would prefer electronic communications and doesn't need paper in their mailboxes when we send out announcements about the movie of the month, or when I send out my executive director newsletter. So Icon's going to help us get announcements and flyers posted electronically and really save our impact on trees in that regard. So look for just surveys and polls about whether you as a resident might wish to have things electronically versus paper copies, because some people really would prefer paper, and that's totally fine. We'll do that as well. Resident engagement. We've had a lot of fun this year, and so if we do a year in review at our next town hall, we'll have a ton of photos to choose from. Here's a few of the last few months. We had Active Aging Week. Thank you to the leaders and the staff who helped with that. The walk that we did that day has now spurred Andrea and David to do a monthly walk. So it's not just going to be for Active Aging Week, but we'll have a day, one day a month where we have a formal walk around campus for whoever might want to join. So if you're a resident and would like to participate, please do. The therapy team has had monthly events, and here's a picture of Peg with some of the skilled nursing residents on the Halloween therapy day. I hope that's really fun for those of you who get to do a few therapy exercises but don't even catch on because you're having so much fun. And then check out turkey bowling. There is Paul Mauger, speaking of the man himself, knocking down a few turkeys. Not talking about the residents sitting there. They're not the turkeys I'm talking about. And you know what? Look in that corner too. That's some signage that the Building and Grounds Committee helped us with. That committee said to us, "Hey, when you walk into Ridgecrest, it's a maze, and there's no signage to let you know where to go." So, a couple of neat things in that photo that are telling 1,000 words of the things that the residents have been helping us with. Associate engagement. In 2024, the committee led by Gene Schultz and assisted by Tammy Cedar, as well as the members of the committee, have budgeted for monthly events. And one important clarification that what we've decided for that committee is that we're going to, instead of trying to have CNA week, dietary aid week, billing specialist week, basket weaver week, if we have such a physician, we're going to just do Associate Appreciation Week as the big event to just cover all associates in appreciation. And then departments can still do something within the department if you wish. But the Associate Engagement Committee, just so it's clear, that committee will really go big with Associate Appreciation Week. And then, of course, we can do Nursing Home Week and that kind of thing, but it won't be led but necessarily by the Associate Engagement Committee. So the managers are aware of that. And we want to encourage you to just check. I know in the Nursing Care Center, we're going to have an attempt to put up the names every time there is a special week right out by the icon board. So when we have Medical Records Week, we will put the names of those who are involved. It just won't be a formal week where we have a celebration. But we don't want to miss recognizing people across the different specialties, but it just was getting overwhelming for us to try and plan an event for every single time we have a certain department being recognized. And so then here on the pictures, we had the Personal Care Appreciation Day last month. And then our Sodexo dining team, Chris and Bill, and then Mark actually represented RiverWoods last month at the Evangelical Cook and Men competition. So it was a competition to cook the best food, and it raised money for breast cancer. So thanks, guys, for doing that. All right, it's the most wonderful time of the year coming up. And so we've got a list of events that we'd love for you to plan to mark your calendar for. It'll be on Icon if you forget. And there will be other events too, but these are the high level ones that we'd love for you to participate in, depending on your level of campus. But many of them are campus wide. The studio sale, that'll be November 30th and December 1st, where our resident studio, where they've built some crafts or developed some things, they'll have a sale. And it's pretty neat to see what Liz and the folks there have produced this year. The Independent Living Holiday Resident Party will be December 6th in the evening. It'll be a dinner party, a really fun event if it matches the past few years. Grand Illuminations, our biggest fundraiser for benevolent care. If you're not familiar with benevolent care, we do have a big pot of money reserved for residents who have run out of financials by no fault of their own. And benevolent care is really important for those residents to be able to stay in as part of our community. So during that week, we will light homemade luminaries and place them around campus. And we can make a donation through the foundation, $25 each, to sponsor one of the luminaries in memory of someone or in honor of someone. And that's a great fundraiser for that. The associate holiday party, we're going to split for a lunchtime and dinner time one, trying to catch all staff. That'll be on December 14th. Always a great time, and I appreciate that chance to get to connect with a lot of people, especially night shift staff that I might not see on a regular basis. The nursing care, each community and wing will have a tea party at 2:00 on the 20th. So look forward to that. And then the Riverview Manor holiday lunch will be on the 21st at a midday time on that period. If you remember half a year ago when Todd went over the associate survey results, he said we need to have more fun. And so that's always in the back of my mind. And I want Icon to be a platform that people are more familiar with using and find to be a valuable resource. So mark your calendars for January, because there's going to be a game show, RiverWoods style, Family Feud. This is not a joke. Wednesdays in January, 1:30 to 2. If you can wait for lunch, if you can't, don't worry, eat lunch earlier, and then come, and we're going to do a competition between our departments. So the word is out now to form your team. I need you to work with your supervisors to make a team, because the families are going to be departments. Like you could do E-Wing if you want that to be your team, or you could just do nursing in general versus maintenance or versus facilities. Whatever we end up getting, we're going to have 8 teams because there's 4 weeks and you have 2 teams. If you've never seen Family Feud, 2 families have to fight each other in trivia questions to get the right answers, and we'll explain it on the day of. But we want to live stream it and then record those sessions so they become part of the Icon video archive. So we build up a fun little Netflix of RiverWoods stuff, where on a rainy Saturday afternoon, a new resident who doesn't know much about RiverWoods can go and check out the last town hall, look at the video of the Veterans Day Parade, and then watch episode 3 of Family Feud, last week, where dining managed to barely beat the administration. So I don't know. Jenna, did we bring the sign-up sheets today? I think I forgot to ask you to do that. There will be sign-up sheets though, and so we'll get them to the department heads. And then if you want to do this, which I think everyone should want to do, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do it. You should work with your supervisor just to make sure you get a team of 5. There has to be 1 male and 1 female on each team, and it's going to be hilarious and fun. And we'll get it live streamed onto Icon so you could watch it at any time. So that's associates will be the contestants, and I need residents to all be here because you're going to be the studio audience, and associates can certainly be in the studio audience too. But we're going to have something fun for you where we're going to have a trivia between each set of questions where if you bring your phone or your laptop, and we'll provide a few, we've got a trivia thing called Kahoot that we used at some of the Asbury events I was part of, and you're going to get quizzed, and whoever wins the studio audience trivia will also get a prize. And there's prizes for the associate teams that win too. Maybe we'll get lucky and send you to Jersey Shore. I don't mean the Jersey Shore that Frank's from or our residents, Ron and Ginny Clays are from in New Jersey. I mean Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, like LPN night shift Teresa Coleman's from. But we could get maybe a nice bed and breakfast there for you. So anyway, that's in January. So speaking of fun, what's our time check? Are we at 2:30? Am I early? Am I late? 2:25. Okay. All right. Well, we'll stall for 5 minutes as we prepare for our 2023 RiverWoods Awards ceremony. So this is the really fun part for Todd and me, is to take some time to celebrate the associates who have stood out. And so I want to start with a big caveat that I look around the room and there are so many great associates, and I interact with you in the hallway, and if you didn't win one of these, it's no statement that your work is not important and recognized. And if you were here, Donna Earl with the customer service training said to me and the managers, be careful if you single out people, even in a good way, because sometimes some people really feel like the whole team should win the award, and that's a very valid thing. So with that caveat in mind, though, we really want to take time to just recognize people that have really done some great things for RiverWoods. And so we're going to start with the Years of Service Award, and I'll invite Tammy Cedar up to help me. What we're going to do is, as you see your name on the screen, you're welcome to come forward, and Todd will meet you here. And Todd, I think for the camera, we have to stay about middle of the table, just so you know. The Years of Service folks will receive a certificate of appreciation, and then we're going to get a photo. Kim will take a photo of you. If you happen to be here and you're the manager of that person, please come up with them so you can be part of the photo. And so we'll do Years of Service, and then we're going to pause a second. Then we'll do the second set of awards, which are a different category. But we'll start with our Years of Service, and I want to thank Tammy for helping me to prepare this. And actually, Tammy, before you start, Todd is going to say a word or two about these awards and how important they are.
Just a word or two. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I could tell a few stories. Maybe it'd be about you. Anywho, that we do want that. That would be great. So why are these so important besides the obvious of recognizing people? It's very important to not only recognize people in front of their peers, but one of the things that we've been doing these over the last couple of weeks, and I will tell you, I asked Aaron to meet me a little bit earlier today, and I said, so we had a little problem at the last one. Tell me your plan. And he had a 72-point PowerPoint he brings out, and he's showing me all this stuff. And he said something that I was so impressed with. He said, and the residents are invited. So Faye, remind his peers, the residents need to be invited to this, because these associates who we're going to talk about today that have been here 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years do that for the residents. That's the main reason people stay. And we can't lose sight of that. And it's very important that we recognize not only the tenure, but the work that people do. And every single person's work is important. And, Aaron tried to soft soap those of you who might not get an award today. Well, just know your award is the residents that you have taken care of and the coworkers that you work with every day that depend on you. And that is very important. And it's not something that you can not remember to talk about. It's certainly vital, and we can only function with everybody pulling along the same way. So with that said, we're going to spend the next hour or so recognizing a whole host of people. Are you going to be the official MC? I love it. So I'll turn it over to Tammy, and then you'll be forced to take your picture with me. If you don't want to.
Remember, he said it. Keep the cameras pointed that
We
way.
can have it right here, because then we'll look like we got it. Right?
Okay. Jenna, no. Rob, can you hand these out to people? Jenna said no.
I can only get one job. You can only do one thing, John.
Okay, I'm going to start with a fun way that we introduced these last year. If we start with the people that have been here 5 years, I just want to talk about in 2018, the price of a loaf of bread was $1.29. A dozen of fresh eggs was $1.74. A pound of sliced bacon, $5.47. A pound of potatoes, 74 cents. A gallon of milk, $2.90. Gasoline was $2.81. And a new house averaged $326,000. Also in that year, we hired Allison Kaufman, who's not here today. Oh, I'm sorry. And Gail Troxel. And she would not come either. So I'll let Aaron have a few.
So the only thing missing is, can you quickly look up the top songs? Didn't you do that last year? Top songs 2018, Britney Spears. Maybe I'm dating. That's 2004, maybe. All right. that's my plan.
Tell us more.
Well, I talked to Gail twice this morning, indicating that she needed to wrap up her work. So Gail has worked both in housekeeping and personal care at multiple times, and we're very thankful for her no-nonsense approach. She really cares about doing an excellent job. So I hope that she'll listen to me more next time.
You know what? It's for Karen about doing the excellent job.
Sure.
I'm helping Brenda right now.
Yeah.
So,
All right, and then Allison is in Baltimore today. Allison's our sales director for the campus, and she does such a fantastic job. She cares about residents before they've even moved here. She just cares about RiverWoods, and that is conveyed in the tours she gives, in the way that she welcomes people during the move-in process and stays engaged with them even after they've moved into personal care or independent living. So we're really thankful for Allison and Gil both, and sorry that they couldn't join us. But if you see them, please congratulate them in person.
Okay, with Aaron's prompt, I looked up, because our next year we're highlighting is year 2013. And the top song that year was Get Lucky by Daft Punk. And there were 3 associates that were lucky enough to start here at RiverWoods. So Kara Boardman from Ridgecrest Dining, Tiffany Spear, who is a CNA generally on memory care, but she's willing to pitch in wherever, and Glenn Liddington in transportation. So Glenn, come on up, because you're the only one I see here. While he's getting that, I'll tell you the loaf of bread in that year was $1.41. A pound of sliced bacon was $5.29. A gallon of milk, $3.46. And the average price of a new house was $268,000. And now I'll let Aaron talk.
So yeah, let's talk about Glenn since he's here. Glenn is an Eagles fan, and he was a hardworking transportation driver. We're really thankful for him. If you watch the way he helps a resident enter or exit the vehicle, the way he helps, he pays attention to the details that they need to get where they're going, to make sure they're back where they need to be. And he just is very kind and cares about people in a genuine way. So Glenn, we're very lucky to have you for 10 years now, and we thank you. Kara works in the Ridgecrest dining room, 10 years. It's amazing that It's flown by, I'm sure, for her. She's very diligent and very practical and very much cares about meeting the residents' needs as they're having their dining experience. So we're thankful for Kara and her willingness to help the new people that have come on board in the last few months. So please greet her if you see her at dinner or lunch today. Tiffany's a CNA on memory care, as Tammy's indicated. Very helpful, good at diffusing conflict if there is any, or trouble if a resident's feeling confused. So we're really thankful for her 10 years here. And if you see her, please thank her as well.
Okay, now we're going to skip right into 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, the top song was In the Club by 50 Cent. And in that year, in our club, we invited Connie Buck from Dietary, Lisa Schiffer, who's a CNA. She's here with us. Come on up, Lisa. Oh, sorry.
Well, she's 20, actually. You're right. I have 2 slides for it.
Yeah, there's 2 slides. Sorry. We'll just go back and forth because we're in the club. Michelle Maxfield. Oh, I forgot. In 2003, a loaf of bread was only $1. A fresh dozen of eggs was $1.24. A pound of sliced bacon was $3.20. A gallon of milk, $2.76. Gasoline, $1.64. And a new house, $195,000. For 20 years ago, we also have Rosa Cartagena. She's coming. And now we have Rosa. Come on up.
Right up.
Just in time.
Congratulations for 20 years of service. Thank you so much. Take your picture. You gotta look back.
Oh, another one.
Wait, Rosa, wait.
Wow.
Yeah, come here. So if you don't know Rosa, she's had an unusually difficult year. A lot of people have passed away in her family this year, I think 3. So I appreciate her family joining today, and she cares very, very, very much for the residents. So thank you, Rosa, for everything. Connie's someone also that cares deeply. The first time I served on E-Wing, she was my guide, and so her attention to detail is very. She's a drill sergeant, even to me. That's what I'm trying to say. And we really appreciate the effort that she puts into her job. It's recognized. When we talk about Lisa and Michelle, they were when I came to try and meet night shift for the very first time when I started, I came at the 7 a.m. Turnover, and both Lisa and Michelle welcomed me at that time, and they've been very kind to me, and that is a continuation of in the way they care for the residents. So thank you, Lisa and Michelle, for all you've done. You're both so young, and yet you have 20 years of experience here, so that's really Really appreciated. And I think Tammy's list is all the hip hop top 20 list, is what I'm hearing.
She told me it was your playlist.
That's right. I borrowed it from Aaron.
That's right.
Okay. So 1998, The Boy Is Mine. I don't have anything catchy for that. Sorry. I'm running out. So in 1998, a loaf of bread was 86 cents. A pound of potatoes was 38 cents. A gallon of milk was $2.70. Gasoline was $1.12 a gallon. A new house was an average of $152,000. And Tammy Leon and Desiree Baker joined the team here at RiverWoods.
Do we have Tammy or Desi? No? Okay. Tammy is a very warm and calm person, so we're really thankful she serves as a CNA here. She takes care of residents as though it's her own family, and it's very helpful for managers to have a calm person who's not creating drama, but just coming into work and doing a great job, and that's what we thank and recognize Tammy for. Same with Desi. She's very reliable. It's incredible. She's worked here 25 years. And as her manager, Tricia, told me, she knows every single detail about how to run that laundry, how to work the machines, how to make sure that things come out right for the residents. So we're very thankful for Desi for what she does.
Now we're going to go back to 1993 when Cheryl Miller came in the door and said, "I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that." Come on up, Cheryl. So in 1993, a loaf of bread was 75 cents. A pound of sliced bacon was $1.93. The price of a gallon of gas was $1.17, and the average price of a new house was $125,000.
So Cheryl's one of the CNAs I see most because she's so flexible and works on whichever wing she's asked or assigned to. And I just am amazed at the number 30 to work somewhere that long. We really appreciate you, Cheryl, and thank you for all that you do.
Okay, picture it, Sicily, 1973. Gladys Knight and the Pips sing Midnight Train to Georgia, and Lucy Cornelius sings Anytime Train to RiverWoods. Yes, Lucy has been with us for 50 years this year. In 1973, a loaf of bread was 28 cents. A dozen eggs was 78 cents. A pound of bacon was $1.33. 10 pounds of potatoes, $1.37. A gallon of gas, 37 cents. And a new house came in at a whopping $30,500.
Lucy, thank you so much for all you do. I've gotten to wash dishes with Lucy. She taught me the proper techniques. We got to celebrate her 50-year anniversary, and her brother joined us a couple months ago. And we're just really thankful that you care so much about this place and about the residents and your fellow staff. So thank you, Lucy, for all that you do. It's really remarkable to have done anything for 50 years, and to work at a job that long is just an incredible commitment. It means a lot. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Tammy, for organizing those factual tidbits. And if you receive the certificate, just hold on. What we're going to do at the end is we'll get a big group photo as well, if you don't mind. Tammy, do you want to explain the categories that we're going to present next?
Okay, so we're going to do the ASSE and Diamond Gem Awards. The ASSE Awards are awarded annually to recognize outstanding achievements in leadership. Associates eligible to receive the ASSE include all leaders that are director or above from any of the communities. A request for nominations is sent by the communication teams each year, and nominations will be submitted by any leader in the organization from any of the Asbury entities. Leaders may nominate as many associates as they like for an ASSE, as long as the nominee meets the criteria. The criteria to be nominated for an ASSE award includes a special achievement or award, exceptional or exemplary behavior in line with Asbury's core competencies, a mission moment, or an accomplishment that has impacted the department and/or organization in a positive way. In addition, leaders can be nominated for displaying any of Asbury's defined leadership competencies, which include listening to those closest to the process, engaging and empowering others, asking why not, and what if, and making data-driven decisions. All nominations are reviewed and award winners are selected by the selection team, which includes members of the strategic leadership team and prior Edwin C. Thomas III award winners. Then we're also going to do the Diamond Gem Awards. Going the Extra Mile, or GEM Award, is Asbury's values-supported reward and recognition program that's open to all associates from any of the communities. This quick and informal recognition program allows any associate, resident, client, or family member to recognize any associate in real time for going the extra mile in line with Asbury's core competencies of accountability, caring, respect, and integrity. Annually, the system-wide reward and recognition team, which is made up of representatives from each of Asbury's communities, selects outstanding gems for the special recognition as a Diamond Gem recipient. The team reviews each and every gem submitted in the prior year and selects the most outstanding examples of Asbury's mission in action.
Thanks, Tammy. Do I have some of my papers there, I think?
You're out of
Yeah.
now.
Rob, can I get Rob and Mark and Amber and Beth and Bill to come up too, please, and just kind of line up here? Before we get to the awards that Tammy just mentioned, Connie just walked in from 20 years of service. So let's get Connie some love. Connie, can you come on up? This is Connie's.
Thank you.
Connie, when you were out, I was telling everyone how you helped me my first time serving on E-Wing. So thank you. I have never forgotten. All right, I'm going to invite Rob Trell to bring up our first Diamond Gem Award winner.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Aaron said, I'm Rob Trell. I'm with the Personal Care Department, actually the administrator over at Riverview Manor. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you to Karen Bakorski. Karen. Karen's primary responsibility is serving as medication technician, a job which she knows and does very well. In times of nurse leadership vacancies, which has happened in the past, she handled the care staff schedule, which has been a true challenge due to call-offs and open positions. Karen is energetic and enjoys keeping busy. Whenever an issue arises, she simply says, "I'll take care of it," and it gets done. Karen is also flexible with her own hours. She accommodates her coworkers and picks up extra hours when needed. Karen is a great motivator for the residents and staff, and she demonstrates her responsibility as a knowledgeable leader. Karen?
All right. Beth Gamble, can you come up, please?
Hi, I'm Beth Gamble, the Director of Nursing in the Nursing Care Center here, and I have the privilege of presenting this award to a phenomenal LPN. She works the night shift, Teresa Coleman. Put my glasses on here. Teresa serves as an LPN on our night shift team in the Nursing Care Center. She is a fantastic team player, goes above and beyond to ensure the best care of our residents while making sure her staff have everything they need. In times when her unit is short-staffed, she remains calm and upbeat, which is very important. It sets the tone for a very stressful unit. In times when it is very stressful, she's always offering help to her other associates. She keeps moving even when the situation is difficult. She goes above and beyond her standard tasks by pitching in to assist with the med pass, assisting CNAs with their work, and even staying over to help the morning shift with resident care. She exhibits sensibility and a positive attitude that we greatly appreciate at RiverWoods. Congratulations, Teresa. Come on up.
For those who don't know me, I'm Amber Bartlett, the nursing home administrator, and it is my pleasure to present a Diamond Gem Award to a real pinch hitter, a real MVP, and that is Stevie Page. Her primary role is medical records clerk, but on any given day, you'll see her in various departments, helping wherever needed. Not only is she a pinch hitter, which is a very important role for people who like baseball, she's like Spider-Man. She can sense when you need help. I don't know how, but she's always shows up and will help get the job done. Over the past year, Stevie has provided invaluable help to many departments across the campus. She worked tirelessly to assist personal care missions with the interim administrator, which enabled the missions to keep coming. Stevie ensured we had a successful nursing home week by working tirelessly after hours on weekends. So not only is she great here, she can even build stuff. She can put air in your tires. She really, I would say, jack of all trades, but that goes with master of none, and she really does a great job at everything she does. During outbreaks, she has helped test thousands of tests she's probably completed, and she's never really been asked. She just says, oh, there's a positive, and Stevie's like, okay, let's roll our sleeves up and get in and start testing. So that has been a great help. She goes above and beyond for her coworkers and the residents every day and is relied on often due to her knowledge of RiverWoods and the many different jobs she does. To top it off, Stevie is very warm and funny and makes it a fun place to work. Thank you.
you don't know me, I'm the operations manager in the dietary department over here at NCC. It is my privilege for Diamond Gem, Dylan Parker. Dylan, he's a cook, but he's more than a cook. He does everything here. Without him, my job would be a lot more difficult. He does everything I ask, works many hours, many hours. I just don't know what to say. He's just that employee that goes above and beyond. There's an incident where a resident just came in late for lunch. They were cleaning up. Dylan said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Kneel down." Got them food, took care of them. He just great person to work with. I'm glad he's on my team. Thank you, Dylan.
I would like to add one thing. This guy never asked to leave early, but he asked us to leave early today, and we had to tell him no.
He also said he would never win an award here.
All right. Hi, my name is Mark Lyons. I'm the Director of Facilities here. It's my honor to present this Diamond Award to Todd Yarger. Todd's been in the maintenance lead position for about a year now and has elevated the maintenance team and processes drastically. Todd is consistent with the maintenance team and has treated all the guys equally and with respect. His leadership has set a standard for his department and the way our residents are treated. There are so many great things said about Todd from the residents and the associates too. He was so helpful during the nursing home week. He went to the units and helped residents to the event rather than participating in the event while letting nursing staff be there to participate. Great guy. So happy I was able to work with him. Good job, Todd. Thank you.
Man, I did not expect that we'd be crying today, but here we go. I would like to ask Faye Besker and Martha Gersick to help me out for the last. We've got two more awards up here. Why don't we start with Martha?
So there's been crying today. I'm honored to be here. My name's Martha Gersick. I'm the Senior Director of Clinical Education and Practice. I work out of our support center. I know many of the faces here, and you guys have accomplished so much over the last year and beyond. And just to see all these awards and come together in recognition of everybody. Congratulations to the winners, but congratulations to the entire team. You've done a fabulous job. And I can't wait to celebrate after with you all. So I have the honor to present your Azzie, or one of the Azzies today, and it is for Cassie Lovelace. Cassie has transformed clinical orientation at RiverWoods, making it her epitome of engagement and empowerment, one of the Asbury key leadership competencies. She has ensured that staff are not merely trained, but are competent, comfortable, and empowered with the tools, knowledge, and resources to succeed. Her transformative work in revamping clinical orientation at Asbury profoundly aligns with our guiding principle statement, doing all the good we can with integrity, transparency, and grace. Doing all the good we can. Cassie's efforts in enhancing clinical orientation go beyond mere duty. Her focus isn't just on getting the job done, but on getting it done exceptionally well to empower others. By taking the time to personally call a new staff member to ease their concerns, she is doing good that reaches beyond her immediate scope of responsibilities, thereby enriching the work environment and the lives of those we serve, or those she serves. Integrity. Cassie's work ethic and dedication are unwavering. She takes full ownership of her projects, consistently aiming to the highest quality. Her integrity is clear in the initiative she takes on, and she does what is right and for the beneficial for the team, even when no one is watching. Transparency. Her open lines of communication, both with her team members and those she is training, embodies transparency. She doesn't have to give orders, but doesn't just give orders, but thoroughly explains and teaches, ensuring everyone understands the why and the how behind each task or process. Grace. Cassie's personality and approach to leadership embody grace. She is described as kind but firm, striking a balance that has not only gets the job done, but goes and does so in a way that leaves everybody feeling respected and valued. It's hard to think of a more fitting candidate for the ASSE Award.
All right. The second ASSE award we have is for our friend Andrea Mertz. Andrea Mertz is an exemplary rehab director, not just at RiverWoods, but across the Asbury system. She motivates and empowers her team to produce leading results, both from a clinical outcomes and a financial perspective. She understands the how and the why behind complex regulatory and insurance requirements so that each resident she or her team serves receives the optimal therapeutic care. Beyond the clinical realm, Andrea is a campus leader for both resident and associate engagement and empowerment. Andrea is always coming up with new and fun ideas for events that include both residents and staff. These events incorporate practical therapy exercises, but many people never even notice because they're too busy circling the baseball path or trying to put a round peg in a square hole, which doesn't work, Larry, I'm sorry. Andrea exemplifies Asbury's guiding principle, doing all the good we can with integrity, transparency, and grace, as well as the value proposition of creating inspired connections and experiences. In all that she does for residents, her staff, and the rest of the RiverWoods campus, we're thankful for Andrea's presence and service and are glad to present her with the 2023 ASSE Award today. Thank you. Amber.
Stand tall. There you go. Stand tall. There it is.
If anyone's been to a concert like the 50 Cent one that Tammy was talking about, Britney Spears, there's always an encore, and there was a problem with the program today. I don't know, Jenna, if you might have a correction for us, something you can give to Todd. Yeah. Faye, would you like to come up for a second, maybe help us correct the error?
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Faye Betzker. I'm the Regional HR Director for Pennsylvania. And it's my honor to present one more ASSE to Tammy Cedar.
And Tammy made the program, so we had to trick her into
Tammy manages to both care deeply for the RiverWoods associates while also upholding our policies and standards in a fair and consistent manner. Tammy doesn't shy away from confrontation or conflict resolution. She is patient, calm, and a good listener. She rolls up her sleeves and helps with events on campuses that uplift associates. She was a gem of the month for how she and Cassie went way above and beyond for care for associates in a tangible way by coming in early, personalizing gifts, decorating, and etc. during Associate Appreciation Week. She works to help people reach solutions as opposed to using policies as walls for progress. Today's Associate Appreciation event and many others are ones that wouldn't have been possible without the personal touch that Tammy put in behind the scenes. Tammy is an asset to RiverWoods and a great representative of the Asbury Human Resources Department overall. And with this, we are proud to present her with a 2023 ASI Award.
All right. I often call on Pastor David to say a prayer and then tell us that there's refreshments. So I'll do that right now. Come on.
I always like refreshments, but I like to pray as well. So this has been a wonderful, wonderful day for the life of our community. And everyone who received awards certainly deserved them. All of this team, all of us working together makes this such a wonderful, caring community. I think we've come a long way, and I think we are still going to go even a lot further. Let's pray. Thank you, God. Thank you for those who are so committed to our residents. Thank you for those who are so committed to the Wesleyan principles, to do good, to do no harm, and that we are always putting, hopefully, others first. We just pray, Lord, that you would continue to help us to grow in this community as we care for one another and care for each other as associates as well, and care for our residents. And may we always remember, love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. Amen. There's food in the back. We'll open the curtain.
If I could ask the winners of the certificates of service and the